Let's cut right to the chase. Creative people are pretty nuts, and I know this because I'm one of them. If you're like me, you wonder, how do people get over the issues we face? That's what this show is all about. Think of each episode as a warm bath for the soul. We're all in this together, so let's do something good with the time we have left. This show is my love letter to the human condition. This, my friends, is Sentimental Illness. I have a guest of extreme proportions today, somebody I am so blown away by. I can't wait for you guys to meet him. I am just floored by what they do. That said, I wanted to talk about something in advance before we jump into my guest today. Okay. So every time I bring somebody on, the first thing I ask them is what do you want to talk about? And of course, they want to talk about their band. They want to talk about their comedy show. They want to talk about the new movie they're doing. They don't really want to talk about politics or, the state of the world, the affairs of the world. And I don't blame them because those things suck. I don't like them either. But for some dumb reason, coming from the radio business where everything online and everything in the station is currently what's happening right now, right? Talking about a vice president or talking about a war or whatever. I feel compelled to talk about those things as though anybody matters. And the truth is, very few people actually care about it. I'm not saying they don't care, but they don't care about it in a way that is like the most important thing. In other words, there is a very loud, a vocal minority that is very extreme about their passions about war, politics, love, sex, religion, etc. I'm a human being. I have an opinion. My guests have opinions. But boy, oh boy, do I need to stop talking about this stuff because yesterday I interviewed a very good friend of mine from the Ukraine, and we spent the first half hour, if you were watching live, we spent the first hour talking about the war in Ukraine. And I am so unqualified. I am the worst. I am the worst at that. And so I apologize for anybody who rolled their eyes at the first 10 minutes of the show yesterday and left promptly. So all that being to say, I apologize. I'm not going to do that crap anymore unless, it's something I really know about or, I don't know, comes up in the conversation. I'm just going to try to keep that crap gone. We don't need to talk about what divides us. Okay. My guest. So I'm probably not going to say this right, but this gentleman from Belgium, the band Axamenta, good gravy. I can't even speak correctly this morning. I'm so excited and nervous and everything else because on occasion I just hear something that completely changes the game. And I understand I am prone to exaggeration. It's what I do. I think it's what artists do in general because we are passionate about the thing we create within. So as an example, I've been playing drums since 1970. Think about that, okay? 1970. What is that? 54 years? 54 years I've been drumming. So that really, really matters to me. That's something that's part of my DNA, part of my soul, part of my habit, part of my everything. I've heard a ton of music. I've had a lot of influences in my life. And I've found that as I get older, my music taste has veered pretty significantly into extremism, to be fair. I love the classic, 70s love song just as much as anyone. I'm a huge Carpenters fan, for example. I love the Hudson Brothers. The Hudson Brothers. Oh, God, guys. 1975, Bafa. Buy that record. It is unbelievable. So much good music from the past and so much good music now. We are so fortunate to live in this time because although there's so much to chew on, there's music that just springs up, a well of amazing sounds and rhythms and ideas that are still new and fresh. So, why do I bring this up? Well, oh my goodness. In 1993, a little band called Axamenta was formed in Belgium. I'm pretty close, I think, 1993. So that's 31 years, guys. And then they were gone for like 16 years. And then they decided to get back together again. And what I love about this is it means that artistry matters more than anything else. People figure out a way to get along, to get back together because they know they've created something really original, something that sparks others. In fact, I would dare to say that this band, you may not know that name. You may not know the name of the man I'm speaking to today, but you've heard that sound and that style in others after them. And yet you may think that, oh, this band was influenced by bands that you are hearing within their music, but I guarantee you they were the band that influenced first. So let me say this. Let me get some water because, boy, oh boy, when I get nervous, it's like going to school the first day. You go to school the first day, you move to a new town, you got to poop like crazy. Oh my God, it's the worst thing in the world. So I'm excited. This band's a combination of everything I love about rock, heavy metal, symphonic music. It's all piled together in this potpourri, this cornucopia, this horn of plenty of amazing musical genre clashes. It's incredible stuff. The band has a new 23-minute EP out. It's called Spires that you have to check out. It is just unbelievably, like, I can't exaggerate how great this is. In fact, when I heard it from a PR company, I can't, of course, share it with anybody, but I immediately went to all my friends online and sent them private messages saying, you as soon as this thing comes out, you've got to check it out. And a couple of my friends in Australia were like, I think I've heard of that band from a long time ago. So that being said, I'm going to stop yakking. But if you like Dimmu Borgir, if you like, I don't know, Evergrey was what came to mind for me at first. And it's clear that this band preceded Evergrey. So if you love post metal, progressive metal, symphonic metal, any of that stuff, dudes, I know, I gotta shut up. I gotta shut up. My guest is gonna be like, dude, we don't have anything to talk about. You won't shut the fuck up. My mouse isn't working, guys, so hang on with me. Anyways, last thing, I want to say this. Ian's proof that you stick with what you love. You come back around to what you love. If it's in you, if it's in your DNA, you do it because that's the way it is. That's what you're supposed to do. So here we go. Today, I get to host one of my new favorites, Ian Van Gemeren from I can't even say it. Axamenta. He's the man and he's here. Welcome, Ian. Yes, brother. Hey. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Thanks. Yourself?
Oh, man. Oh, gosh. I am stumbling like a little boy this morning.
Now you're making me nervous with that intro. You're giving us way too much honor. Thanks for that.
Well, you're welcome. And it's easy for me. I am prone to exaggeration. Anybody who listens to my show, the people that do watch it live, etc., I imagine they roll their eyes an awful lot, but I am so happy to have you here. And if I can be so bold, I'm going to say this right in front of everybody. I hope we become friends because I want to hang out with guys like you, people who just floor me with their musical gifts and their skills and abilities, because you have all of the things I don't want to say I have, but you have all of the things that have always drawn me to music, which is clearly you have love, but you have technical ability. You're incredibly rehearsed, and then the music itself is this, I'm looking for a flowery description, but it's just this explosion of sonics and colors. And Terry Bozzio, the drummer, once said, I don't play the drums because of the rhythms. I play the drums for the sonic textures. I love the sounds of an ice bell or the pitches of a drum head. And
Yeah.
what I notice in your music is there is incredible attention to detail when it comes to that palette, that sonic palette. You guys have created a very specific thing with Spires, and I congratulate you. It is
Thank you.
extraordinary.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much. Yeah, and
Yeah.
indeed, this is the music that I like to make, and I like to hear myself as well. So that's the reason why it came out like that. And about the sound textures, indeed, I guess that's part of my other profession, which is trailer music, where the sound design has to be really, yeah, it has to be the top of the game. So I brought that skill with me to Axamenta again. That was one of
Yeah.
the reasons why we started again, because I thought I could bring something new with using that skill set that I learned in the trailer industry.
Yeah. Yeah. If I could, before we get to the silly things on the show, I wanted to ask one question. I'm afraid I'll forget, and it's the most simple one. Being a musician slash an ex-musician, I should say at least an ex-performing musician. What caused that gap? Was it just being tired? Was it I mean, the typical thing with it's hard to be in a band? What was the reasoning for going away, and then what was the reasoning for coming back?
Well, the main reason was our vocalist at the time, Peter, had vocal issues. So,
Oh,
as per doctor's prescription, he couldn't sing live anymore. So
hmm,
that was it. So we said,
hmm,
sorry guys, I'm leaving the band. It was in 2008. At that moment, we were all mid 20 guys that thought, we did it once with Axamenta. We can just start a new band because we actually hated the name Axamenta, and also we wanted to go. The name Axamenta is indeed from 1993 or 1991,
right,
made by guys that I don't even know who they were. They started the
right.
band, and us, we only came around to 2001, 2002.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
there
That's
was a
news to me.
whole
Okay,
there
cool.
was a whole lineup even in between that made
Oh,
other albums. So I never played in a band. I never played in a band with those early, the original lineup.
okay.
I've never seen them. Only the drummer I saw. I played with them a few months and then he left as well. But for the rest, I don't know them. So yeah, we got stuck with Axamenta, which, yeah, okay. Now I'm okay with it. But back then we said, come on, we're going to change the vocals. We want clean singing. We want to be much more progressive. So we wanted to
Right.
change style. Let's change the band name as well. And we thought we can do it again. We will just make another album, and they will know that we're the guys from Axamenta. But sadly, that's not how it works. So we were
Right.
completely had to start from the
Right.
bottom again. We had then a lot of lineup changes, and then we said after 2-3 years, um, yeah, it's not worth it. And then I played
Hmm.
in some pop bands. The other guys did some other stuff, um, and then we decided during Corona to start again, just because yeah
Okay.
it's
Okay.
so many
So
bands started during lockdown, because you get bored or
sure.
yeah.
No, I get it. You start to think too. I think. I mean, at least I did during the virus, which was okay. If I'm going to do something, and in my case, it was this. The first thing I did is I reached out to a whole bunch of artists I would probably never think that I was qualified to speak to. And I actually ended up getting access to a few legacy artists like
I
Loverboy and Air
saw.
Supply, all because I was like, oh my God, like like they'll talk to me? Really? But I do have to ask in regards to this, if you despised the Axamenta name and the fact that you weren't one of the originators and you didn't necessarily care about the legacy, why bring that name back? Why not just, in a sense, start over? Because to me, I mean,
Mhm.
I'm not, no judgment. You're like, we're huge in Belgium. But 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 to me, it's like, okay, you're brand new to me, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I discovered you because of PR. And then I look back at this history, which is obviously why I missed it. So forget everything I said.
No, it's fine.
But you know what I mean? Like I only know kind of what I, in a sense, have been told, and I made some assumptions, and I was wrong. So
Yeah.
yeah, why bring that back, if I
Yeah,
may?
the lore is quite complex when
Yeah.
Axamenta. Basically, so there was also another guy in Belgium that had the same idea, I guess, similar idea as you, and he also started a podcast, but also a top 100 best Belgian metal songs ever.
Oh,
Um, and we were there in the top 50 all of a sudden. Like after being gone for 12 years, people
yeah.
were still voting us in the top 50. So we were like, oh, that's cool. There are still people that dig our music and have not forgotten us. So the idea started actually by just saying to each other, wouldn't it be fun to just write one more song to show us that we're to show appreciation and to show us that we still got it, or I don't know, maybe it's like some kind of midlife crisis thing that I want to show people that I still I still can do it. So the first idea was just to write a song, and then that ballooned into this 23-minute thing, and then that's typical me. I probably knew already from the start when I started it. If I do something, I want to do it. I want to make it bigger and I want to make it better. And then I think, yeah, why not just launch? Why not just try to make it as good as possible and make an EP out of it? And let's do this and this and this. And then the first version was a 17-minute song, which I then
Yeah.
showed the rest of the band. It was actually like a surprise because they had no idea that I started with this. So I showed them that, and they said, "Okay, let's start the band again." And of course, there is an obvious reason as well. We were quite known in Belgium, um,
Right.
and I we tried already under another band name, and it didn't work out. While the
There you
music
go.
was also quite decent, it didn't work out at all. So I thought, let's start with that small fan base that we had from the time, and we already have something. Otherwise, I was so afraid that we would release the EP and literally nobody would know even that we released something. So
Right.
yeah,
Well, but the thing is, I mean, I understand that completely because being a drummer myself, being a musician and wanting people to love the material I've created, wanting them to see what I see.
mm,
I totally understand why you would feel that way. But the thing that I've discovered as I've gotten older, and I guess now I'm living vicariously through you because you're still pursuing that thing. And I don't want to say the dream, but you're just living in it. You're playing great music because why not? And the thing that I've seen as I've gotten older is that cream really does rise to the top. That somebody like myself hears it and says, "Whoa, wait a minute, we got to talk about this," because there is so much junk out there that I think as musicians, I think most people feel like, "Oh, I'll never be heard." Because there's way too much content out in the world, right? There's too many
yeah,
podcasts, there's too many bands, there's too much everything. Nobody will ever hear us. And maybe they won't. Maybe they won't. But in your case, yeah, no, I mean, I'm not blowing smoke. I think when you have that level of skill, when that musicianship is so potent, it's inevitable that the in a sense the fan club, that base goes, whoa, wait a minute, what is this? And then because it's so good, Ian, they can't help but talk about it. All of my friends know about it now simply because I heard a record in an email, you
hmm
know?
yeah,
And that means something. That sure, that might be my taste, but people like me who discover it will never let it go. That will become a thing for them. That's part of their new normal. And that's pretty special.
Yeah, well, thank you for the kind words. But yeah. To be honest, I was not sure at all. I was struck with doubt during the whole process, thinking like, is this something that maybe I just like,
Right.
or is it something that will other people will gravitate to as well, or am I just now an old guy that is making music that people like 20 years ago? I had so much, yeah, I have no idea how the public would react to it. So I'm happy to
Yeah.
hear that some people seem to dig it. We had a lot of positive reactions until now. So yeah, let's hope that the algorithms does his work and spreads it a bit more.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if I could say one more thing about it is, look, I'm 57. I'll be 58 in a few weeks. And let's just pretend that your only audience is my age. So what?
Yeah.
Right? Because there's hundreds of millions of us. And honestly, the music space is not really, with the exception of legacy bands, bands like U2, or name a big band from the 80s or 70s that are still around. Those bands aren't really creating anything new, and there are only like 10 or 15 of them. So anything new is not pandering to my base. They're playing to the TikTok generation. They're playing the 1 minute snippets.
Mhm.
It's all metalcore. And I'm not knocking metalcore. I love metalcore. But it seems to me that it's a lot safer. Your music has a little bit of danger to it, because even though it's nostalgic for me, it takes me back to definitely the early 2000s. It takes me back to when I first discovered Dimmu Borgir. It's that kind of thing, and it's nothing like Dimmu, but it also, in a sense, feels like what I felt when I heard Dimmu, which was that symphonic aspect of it.
Yeah.
It's very operatic. It's very Wagnerian,
Mhm.
and I love that.
Yeah. Me as well.
we we need you, Ian. We need you. Okay, let's get to this.
And now, conversation starters.
Well, we already started our conversation, but let me say this: it's International Clown Week.
Okay. Hooray.
It doesn't really mean anything, but I always try to find something silly to bring up, and as long as we can laugh together, there it is. But I really don't care. I I brought it up because I thought it just might be enough to chat about. But do you have a crazy clown story from when you were a child, or do you? I don't even know if you have children. It's none of my business. But do you know somebody that has an irrational fear of clowns?
Um, not really, no. Clown stories. I know one of my earliest pictures is of me with a clown. No,
Oh,
I'm dressed as a clown and
oh my gosh!
I'm crying. So not a good,
You were afraid of yourself.
I don't know what was happening there. I have a funny story of my daughter. I've three children, by the way. So
Gotcha.
to answer your
Excellent.
question, my oldest daughter, we went to like a Saint. Yeah, it's like Santa, but in Belgium, he's called Saint Nicholas. We have both.
Okay.
We have Santa with Christmas, and then the 6th of December we have Saint Nicholas. He
Oh,
also brings gifts, and
wow.
he's a bit dressed a bit differently. But it seems
Okay.
he's like the earlier form of Santa.
Right.
Is
Right.
is
S-
what I
So if
understood.
Santa's not Saint Nick, 'cause I've always conflated the two.
Yeah,
I
no,
thought
that's
they were
probably
the
the same.
same person.
That's the same guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. You
Um,
just celebrate it twice.
yeah, we just we just celebrated twice. Yeah, and my daughter was in a feast organized by my work for Saint
Okay.
Nicholas. All the parents with children were invited, and there were clowns as well there. And she was
Hmm.
indeed very afraid of them. and because they had like, she was always saying, "Oh no, they have like very strange pants with orange pants." That's what she remembered, and we were like, "Okay, don't get too close to the clowns." Then,
Yeah.
fine. Then a few weeks later, we went to like a Christmas thing with like a where you can drink schnapps and things like that, and there is like,
Right.
and all of a sudden she was standing there, and all of a sudden she jumped in my lap, so scared, and she said, "There's a clown there, Daddy. There's a clown." But it was just a guy with a colorful pants that walked by, and she was so afraid of that person. So stupid.
Colorful pants.
Yeah,
That's great.
yeah.
That's
It's
great.
not my best material, but that's the only clown story that I can come up with.
That's fine. That's fine. The other weird thing for the week is something I saw on, I don't know, a news site. So my wife is Japanese, so I pay attention to Japanese culture quite a bit. And, the Japanese they are the creators of electronic things, right? They seem to be the nation that makes, I don't know, the best engines, the robots, right? They're robot people.
Mm-hmm.
And so a Japanese scientist, speaking of robots, has figured out a way to create a flesh, this collagen, so protein-based fake flesh that fits over mechanical parts to make a robot look real.
Wow.
And of course, the snarky side of me thinks it's so they can make sex robots. And, people don't have to be freaked out quite as much. but I love the idea that the application of this could be eventually for burn victims and the like, to give them a much more human, you know what I mean? I don't want to say human because we're human, but to you burn your arm and you can put this flesh on. I like this idea of, of sort of normalizing people who have been, harmed by fire. So I don't know, man. I'm talking in circles right now.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting stuff. I like hearing about new technology and new advancements. But
Cool.
indeed, I guess that for the other robots that they're planning that would help us in our daily labor and things like that. I don't see the benefit of them having flesh that.
No, it's a little strange.
I guess you're right that one of the applications will probably be that. I don't see otherwise why you would need, maybe I don't know, to like in a nursery or something that they can help with
Yeah.
children or something. But I guess it's mostly for the touch that it feels like it's real flesh. I don't know why.
Yeah. Well, I think, I there's a reason I brought this story in, because I was thinking about the clown thing and the fact that it's exactly what you say. I think that this idea, for some reason, the orange pants freaked your daughter out, right? There was something about it that just didn't ring true. It felt odd, and she was confused by it. And I think maybe this idea that, as we move along with our technology, that AI maybe comes to the forefront, and that we start utilizing robots as, like you mentioned, maybe caregivers, even that having them be anthropomorphic, having them have a human quality, would certainly make it easier on children who are very confused as to why this creature never eats, never sleeps, and is always hovering over their shoulders. So I like that idea.
And who knows? Maybe that scientist wasn't even. I guess part of the inventions that scientists make are not because they're really searching for. I need to make flesh for a robot. Maybe they were just experimenting with chemicals, and that rolled out, and then they are searching for an application now for that.
Yeah.
Would it be better that they would first go to burn victims, maybe, than to give robot's flesh.
Yeah,
But
yeah, I
okay.
agree. I would like to see them help people versus a robot that has really no particular application. But okay, it's like are you familiar with a comedy group called Kids in the Hall?
The Canadian.
Yes.
No? Yeah, I saw that. It's something in the early 90s, I think, yeah? I think, or
Yeah.
not.
Yes. Well,
I,
they had
I
a movie that came out
know that.
called was called Brain Candy, and the idea behind the movie was that they were being tasked by a pharmaceutical company to come up with the drug that cures depression. And one of the jokes in the movie, and of course I'm going to mess it up because all of a sudden I can't remember exactly how it goes, but is them auditioning different professors who have an idea. You know, they would come and sit at the table and say, well, I've got an idea for this. And one of them is this guy sits down at the table and says, I have an idea that gives worms to ex-girlfriends. And they're all looking around at the table, and he goes, it is a pill that gives worms to ex-girlfriends. You just don't get it. Which is hilarious, but
Yeah.
weird. Same idea. Who needs flesh on their robot, man? It's freaking crazy. You got time for some music?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. Good. All right, here we go.
And now it's time for self-diagnosis.
All right, my friend. We're friends now, right?
Definitely, yeah.
It's my dream. I just want to come to Belgium and hang out with all the cool musicians I've met over the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So the show obviously likes to talk to the artist. I love to talk to bands and discover new music, etc. But what I like to do, without necessarily getting too personal, I mean, we can certainly go as deep as you'd like. The deeper, the better. It's always fun for me. And I always get something out of it as well. I admit my show is very self-serving because I spend an awful lot of time doubting the direction of my life, doubting who I am, doubting where I'm going, right? Imposter syndrome, really common with artists. And I guess what I'd like to know is a little bit about your early history. You don't necessarily have to tell me where you were born, but I'm curious how you grew up, how you started, and what drove you towards music. Do you mind sharing a bit?
Yeah, of course. I was a late bloomer. I didn't listen really to music until I was 15. So, and then few friends and my is it nephew or cousin? I don't know how the son of my uncle. Let's say he was playing guitar.
Okay.
Is
So he's
that,
your cousin. He's your cousin.
is that cousin? Okay.
Yeah.
He was playing guitar, just started, and he was listening to Nirvana and things like that, Metallica, and that's how I rolled into it. And then let me try as well. And then I found that it was it went quite good. I had a knack for playing guitar because I played then with a few friends, and then I got like a book or a tablature for Rage Against the Machine or something, and then I started studying. And yeah, after a few days, we spoke again with those guys, and they were saying, it's so difficult, and I don't know exactly what they said, but I could play already the whole album. And they were like,
Wow.
"What? How did you do that?" And I was like, "Yeah, I don't know. It's I don't know. Something clicked for me. So it really went very fast. In the first 3 years, I got every tablature book that I could get my hands on. I would just learn from beginning to end. So I could play everything from Metallica, all the songs from Megadeth, Slayer, Sepultura, all those albums. And I just between school when I came home for lunch, I just put on Ride the Lightning or something, and then I played through it, and then I hopped back on my bike and went back to school. So that was the first 3 years, and that was really my mindset. I just have to practice, and then when I'm good enough, I can maybe start in a band. That was my big dream. And then
Yeah.
when I was 18, I indeed started in a black metal band, which did not care for at all black metal at that moment. I did not even know what it was. I was
Right.
full into trash. And then I played a bit with them. Was not really my cup of tea, but through them I learned other bands in the region, and one of them was Axamenta, which was at that moment already a band that was like 10 years old. So
Right.
they were already an established name. And their guitarist just left, and the guitar player back then was Yves Hutz, who played then afterwards, was the bass player for Epica for 10 years.
Okay. Wow.
So,
Cool.
so that's also a link. And he
Yeah.
said, yeah, you should come play with us. So I did an audition, and then a week later I was doing my first live gig with them. They called me the band slut back then, because in those 3 years that I learned so much music. I had a really a talent to really learn music very fast. So they would sometimes say, "Hey, we need a guitar player for next Friday. Are you available?" And I said, "Yeah, just send me the the, the sheet music or the tabs, and I will learn
Right.
it." And then indeed, I was 5 days later or something. I was playing on with that band, so that was always very fun.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I was in Axamenta, and then that's we did our shows, we did our album, which was also quite a success. And then
Yeah.
we did a
Yeah.
lot of shows with some really some good bands. We did like a lot of stuff with Aborted back then.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, we did opening for Cradle of Filth and Vader and Grass Pop a few times. I'm not sure if you're
Yeah. Yes. Yes. I'm familiar.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, we did two gigs, 2 years. We played at Grass
Wow.
Hall,
Wow. I
and
would
then
have loved to have done one of those.
we stopped. And then we said
Yeah.
to hell with it. So that's my
Wow.
early history. Yeah,
Wow. 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 So did you meet oh gosh, what's her name? Anneke van Giersbarden? Or van Giersbarden?
from the Gathering.
Yeah, from The Gathering, the
Yeah, well,
singer.
she's in the Netherlands, so that's
Right, but
north
she
of
played
us.
grass pop a lot, I guess is what I was saying. It's I
Yeah,
don't know. It's why I was connecting the two, not because of
I
Belgium or the
know she played a show once, like an acoustic show. I think it was just her with an acoustic
right.
guitar in Antwerp. That's the city where we're from, and it was like
Okay.
in a small bar she played, and then we went
Yeah.
to check it out. But I never spoke to her.
Gotcha.
So,
Gotcha. I have just I can never pronounce her name correctly. I just call her Anneke, or because of Devin Townsend, I call her Annie.
yeah,
But I have a crush on her. I admit it. I think she's beautiful. Oh goodness.
as you should.
As I should. Anybody who knows who Anneke is it Van Giersberg? I don't even. Gosh, I don't even know.
Anneke van Giersbergen.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for
yeah.
thank you for pronouncing it correctly and saving this American boy from Giersbergen. Okay. Well, good. Okay, so you obviously found you were highly competent very quick. It came quickly for you. What was your family's response? I mean, did you grow up with, were your parents together, or did you grow up at home? I'm kind of
Yeah.
curious because a lot of families, of course, they kind of poo-poo the idea of pursuing the arts because they know how hard it is. We all know how insane it is. You don't want your kids to go in that direction. You want them to get a normal job and be an active, contributing member of society.
Yeah. They have been very supportive from the beginning. They bought my first guitar and my first amp. I was always playing. We lived in a small apartment, and I was always playing rather loud. And they never complained. And I was always like, "Look, mom, I can play this new difficult part." And then I always showed them because I'm an only child, so I needed a lot of attention.
Oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
But I was kind of I've never been playing with the idea to just like I'm going to be a musician and fuck school. No, I was level-headed enough to know that I needed to do well in school and do like university and find a good job, because I'm not sure if that's just my nature, but I'm quite scared, or I always want to have backup plans and things like that. So I just did university, and I've good job. I work in finance, so I can't complain. I've never been a musician. Just that has always been a hobby, until
Smart.
2018, when I started with 2019, when I started with trailer music. Because at that moment I was like, I've been doing music now since '95. That's for 23 years at that moment.
Right.
Never have I made any money. With it would be great if I could do this as a job, but
Yeah, for
I
sure.
I couldn't find a way how, and that was the way how I could do it. So then I
Yeah.
pursued that.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I mean, that's actually why I got this booth, so I could do voiceover.
Okay, yeah,
It's the same thing, you know. And in fact, I'm trying to break into that business as well. So if
yeah,
you have any contacts, let me
yeah.
know. I would
Oh,
love to be like a gaming voice for something. Anyways, I'm not here to sell myself. Just, but I totally understand that. And it's hard because artists are taught we should do it because we love it. But why can't we make money? Why can't we monetize our talents? I
yeah,
mean, they've been downloaded into us from birth. That ability to pick up a guitar and analyze it and put things together quickly is not unnatural. I mean, it seems unnatural, but I guess what I'm trying to say is that isn't learned. That's built into you.
mm,
And you, as far as I'm concerned, you deserve to get paid for something that comes to you extremely easy because you can create at a very high level. Why not?
yeah. Well, it's not like I made great songs in those first
Sure.
5, 6 years. It's
Right.
also practice, practice, practice.
Yes.
So it's not that it just came like that. Um, but indeed, back in those days and '90s, it was not just my parents. Actually, my parents, I don't think they ever said like, Ian, uh, aren't you taking this a bit too far? Shouldn't you be studying a bit more? It was just a known fact that you can't make any money, or it's like winning the lottery. That was like the general consensus back then. Now I think
Yeah.
now it's a lot clearer for a lot of people that you can make money by doing things what you love, like being a YouTube streamer, even, or dancing on TikTok or whatever. You can do whatever you
Sure.
want, and if you put your mind to it, you can monetize it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
wanted to have that knowledge back then, so that I could
Yes.
maybe just say, let's just put everything I have in music, and let's see what happens. But still, it's a big gamble, I think.
It is. I mean, it's the kind of thing you discover as you get older. This sort of fuck it ability, right? This ability to just say, look, this is what I do, or this is what I like, and I'm just going to pursue this, and whatever comes of it, comes of it. But one of the things I've been trying to teach my own children is that very thing, is to say, okay, I recognize that this is a talent I have, or this is a passion that I have, and I'm going to figure out a solution that allows me to live my life doing this. Because the reality is if I decide I want to go to college so I can become a veterinarian, or an architect, that's going to take a lot of time and commitment. I'm going to have to learn specific skills. And of course, then there is the potential for a job on the other side. Not a guarantee, but a potential. That said, if I did that, sure, I could make, I don't know, $150,000 a year working as an architect designing homes for, neighborhoods, contractors. But that doesn't mean I would enjoy an ounce of it.
Mm,
And I think it's so wise to recognize that, one, we're weird. Artists are weird. 2, nobody's going to understand us unless they're an artist themselves. And 3, pursue it anyway, because if you're at the bottom, if you have to climb a mountain, you might as well climb the mountain you want to climb versus getting to the top of another mountain and going, I need to climb another mountain again.
Yeah, indeed.
Just do the thing, man.
Indeed,
You're not competing for a cool car or a cool house. Just go live your life.
Yeah. Indeed. That's
Yeah.
also why I did the trailer music, because I already had all the gear. I didn't have to make any crazy new expenses or anything like that.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why I did that. And indeed, I've taken now like the efficiencies in the productivity that I had there, because there you have to make a track a week or sometimes even more. There are tight deadlines. The guys say we need to have a 2.5-minute track in 2 days, and I have to do that. I took that stuff also back to the band, so to make it really productive and to actually how do you say that, like it's a business really, so that it's not just a hobby, a band, but still it's we spend some money on artwork, on mixing, on recording the vocals. We did as well, and it's really hard now to gain any of that money back.
Yeah.
Not that the money is rolling in now, not at all.
Well, this is an expensive. I don't want to call it a hobby, but it's an expensive. It's an expensive lifestyle.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah.
And because of the obsessive nature of it, we're always looking to find that one tweak in the detail of creation, right? Like, for example, I have a number of different microphones, so it depends on what book I'm recording or what commercial I'm auditioning for. I'm going to use, a different variety of mics. I use this particular mic for podcasts because it has that really narrow band, right? So as long as I stand here in front of my camera, it sounds great. But if I go over here, it's like, well, that sucks, but that's why I use a shotgun mic for this.
Yeah.
So anyway, you get it. You want to have the things in place to create the best you can. And I love obsessive people. And I will say this, I know I keep bringing it back around to Spires, but that's part of the reason we're here. I didn't understand it in a way when I first listened to it. I loved it, but I didn't understand why it was seemingly so disparate, right? That it went from idea to influence to whatnot. And then I recognized that if you've ever heard the 1995 record Change of Seasons by Dream Theater, you would listen to this 26-minute long piece that are 5 different suites, and that there are wild, exposures to sounds and ideas and themes that never repeat again. But it creates tumult, right? It's a change of seasons. You feel what that record is about sonically. And what I couldn't wait to ask you is, what does Spires mean to you? Why was it created to work in the order it works in? Because I listen to it musically. So musically, thematically, it really takes me on a journey, but I don't necessarily know what it means to you. What were you trying to say, Ian?
Difficult question, huh? I'm not sure if I would. That's a good question. Honestly, I was just trying to make a great piece of music that I would love listening to as well. I love extremes, so I love that it goes like full orchestral, and then it goes into a very cool riff, and then it goes into like a poppy chorus, and then it goes back down and something very eerie. Or I think that works good, and especially if you are going to write a track that long, you really need that to keep the listener engaged. So yeah, that's why it goes from from in those extremes. So that's one of the reasons. And then later when we had the lyrics, we had the concept story, then we started to say, okay, but here in this story, in this part of the song, this happens. So wouldn't it be great if we would put like that kind of vocals on it so that it would look like that person is singing them? And wouldn't it be cool if during the solo we say at the end that it's nighttime? So wouldn't it be
Right.
great that the bell hits 10 times so that you know that it's 10 o'clock?
10 o'clock. Right. I got that. I got that.
All these very small details. There are like a ton of that stuff in there. Also callbacks to our earlier album, themes that come in and out in with different instruments and stuff. I like that stuff. Change of Seasons indeed is one very big influence. Also, the Odyssey from Symphony X.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the best pieces of music ever written. So I wanted to give it a shot as well.
Yeah. I love Symphony X. I had Michael on the show.
Yeah, I saw
about
that.
3 years ago. I was a complete idiot. I was so nervous because he's just, he's like a god,
Yeah.
Okay, so I have to ask you this question. Have you done a listening party for the new record yet?
Yeah, we did, but with our following at the moment, we did it the day it got released, and I think there were 11 people there.
Okay,
So
that's fine.
It doesn't matter. It was fun, and the people that were there, they wrote some messages and saying that they loved it. But it's just
that's fine.
The algorithm is screwing us over. It's like we put something on Facebook and then we ask people, "Did you see it?" And they were all like, "Oh no, we didn't see anything."
Yeah, you have to pay a ton of money to get Facebook to do anything. I found Instagram is a much better outlet for marketing who you are, spinning it down into a very fine line. Even though it's the same company, technically, the marketing aspect of Instagram seems to work a lot better than Facebook. Facebook has evolved into an old person's platform.
Yeah, and
it really
AI
has.
bots and yeah. So yeah, the sad thing is that we have the most followers there, and on Instagram, like 3 times less, even less than that. So
go ahead. Sorry.
No, yeah. We just have to work harder and get everyone to Instagram and to YouTube. That's what
yeah. Well, that's what I'm hoping, at least I can partly do for you too. Here's why I asked, because I talk about this every once in a while, but I want to bring it up to the audience that's listening today and to you, because it might be something you could use. I'm not suggesting you have another listening party, but if you hadn't had one, I would recommend this because I think this would be really cool, especially for your record. When I was a very little boy, so 3, 4, 5 years old, my mother, who's still alive, would sit me down, my brother as well, sit us both down. She would put a classical record on, typically Beethoven, sometimes actually even the Gershwins, like Rhapsody in Blue or American in Paris, but it would be something old or something at least old in the last century. And she would sit us down and she would give us this giant, like 11 by 17 paper. And she would give us our box of 64 crayons and she would say, draw what you hear.
Oh.
And I loved that. I remember drawing deer running through a field, because I heard Beethoven's Fifth Symphony or something, or Beethoven's Ninth. It just sounded like animals prancing in the woods. And I used to do that with my children when I was raising them, we would do the same thing. But that's a long time ago. All this to say that if I were doing a modern day listening party, I would literally do that with my fan base. I would have them sit down, put headphones on like Queensryche would do with their albums. And I would have you listen to the record and draw what you see, because then you become enveloped by the music and you're not listening for cuts and weird takes and all this other stuff.
Mm,
You're just letting the music happen to you. And then it becomes an actual visual journey like a book does, because you're creating the characters in your head versus being told what the characters are. Does that
yeah.
make sense?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So there you go.
Okay.
You can do it next time you do
Yeah.
one. But here's the question: since you've done that already, the question would be: if I sat you down in front of the Axamenta record, in front of Spires, what colors would you pick to draw your scene?
Well, definitely the colors from the album artwork. That's also the colors
The dark blues.
that we
Yeah,
set to the artist that made that cover.
yeah,
Has to be
yeah,
dark blue. There's no
yeah.
way around it.
No, it's true. It's a night record for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Dang it! I figured you were going to say that, but I was hoping you were going to give me some crazy like. Well,
Yeah.
I would choose fuchsia because the album is actually quite pink in my brain.
Yeah. No, I can see the whole story in my head when we wrote it. So
Right.
and that's now locked in my head. So every time I listen to the album, I see those scenes playing out in my head. So um, that's now locked in, and it will always be dark blue.
Yeah. No, I get you. I get you. Musicians, all creatives, are kind of considered on the outside to be a little bonkers. You heard me say it in the top of my show. All musicians are a little nuts. All creatives. And again, if you're not a creative person, and there are a few of them out there, they don't necessarily know how to handle us because we tend to be a lot. But I'm curious, when it comes to, the nowadays everybody's talking about mental health and mental illness and mental wellness and just how do you cope? And I'm curious, as a musician, as a creative person, is music your only outlet, or do you have other methods that you use to keep yourself sane?
I to be honest, on the mental health aspect, I've been very blessed because I've never had any problems. If something goes wrong, I'm really flexible. I bounce back really fast. If
Right.
something, for instance, if my car would explode, I would say, "Oh fuck," and then directly there would be something that goes in, and then but actually doesn't matter because there is, I guess that's a coping mechanism, but I've
Sure.
always something that directly gives a positive spin to it. I've always had that. So um
That's
and
cool.
I have I need music, but also actually I just need something creative in my life. It doesn't necessarily have to be music, but because I in that moment when I stopped with the metal bands, and
Yeah.
between then and when we started Axamenta again, I made a board game, for instance, with some friends of mine. Board game that
Wow.
was actually bought by an American board game company and released.
What's it called?
The Daedalus Sentence, and it was a
Huh.
circular prison. You will not know it. It's, it's
Well, I have a game. I have a game store in my town, and they have
okay.
tons of stuff I've never heard of.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Okay.
things like that, or I write a story, or I draw with my children, or I work in the garden and make a. Now I'm shoveling. I'm making a very large pit for some
Oh,
reason. Anything.
congratulations.
But yeah, I read a lot. I read a lot of books. All that stuff helps me. But I realize it the most if I go on a holiday. After a week or something, I start to hear music in my head. I start to hear, oh, that's a great riff, and that's
Right
cool,
on.
and I feel it and usually when I come back from holiday, I need to write something because then
Yeah.
it's I need that outlet. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, no. I had nothing more to say. Go ahead.
I'm so sorry. I did not mean to step on your thought.
No.
It's interesting because you're talking to you today is very exciting for me. Not that I feel like I'm on the same playing field as you, because I do not feel that way. But what I do remember about being a young person, especially when I was really, really just overjoyed with any moment I could sit behind my drums. I remember going on vacations, on the holidays, and could not wait to get home. It was usually the last day. It was just like my dad could not drive back to the house fast enough, and then I'd spend 4 hours playing drums along with Kansas or Rush, just to get my feel back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I recognize that. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so what do you dream about?
Like literally dreaming at night, or
Yeah, I mean,
like
I guess your take on that question. Like for me, I'm caught up right now in this desire to be a somebody. I know that's completely childish and insane, but I really, really, genuinely love being here with you today as an example, and I really want people to understand how sincere I am when it comes to the discovery of music and how much I believe in somebody like yourself who's created a piece of art that I genuinely am moved by, that I want everybody in the world to know how special it is, that it's actually special. It's not hyperbole. It's not me blowing smoke. It's really wonderful stuff. But I want my show to have influence. I want it to take off. I want to have huge stars, and I want people to pay attention to it. So they search through it and they hear your music and they say like, oh my God, I would have never heard this had it not been for Rob's show.
Yeah.
But that's because of who I am right now. That's where I'm at in my life. Where are you in your life in regards to what do you dream about?
Yeah.
What are you looking for?
I think I'm in the same situation as you. I've been like that for the last 20 years. I also want
Forever.
to have my music be heard by as much people as possible. I never understood bands that we know, bands from my region that
Right.
play. I always have discussions with people like that. Then they say, yeah, I have a new hobby. And then all of a sudden my brain goes like, oh yeah, you're going to do that. Then you should do that and that, because then you can become better. Then you can become the best. I always have that in mind. Like, and then they
Right.
are like, yeah, but I don't want to be the best. I just like doing this. And then I have sometimes difficulty grasping that I always want to be the best in things like that. So I'm not saying that I don't want to be I just want to be like respected, let's say, in the Belgian metal scene for the moment. I want
Yeah.
people to listen to our music and say, damn, those guys made a great record. And then I'm happy
Yeah.
if I just
Yeah. Right
that's
on.
all that I
Right
need.
on.
That's all that I need. I don't need money. I don't need driving around in fancy cars or anything like that. I just want to that people enjoy my music.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to introduce you to a few Belgian musicians, though. I mean, people that you may know them already, but I'll do that. I'll do that obviously off show here, but later today I'll send you a couple of messages via Instagram Messenger or something.
All right.
I think these are people you would genuinely love, and they're just fantastic.
I saw
artists.
I saw some videos from the past months with some Belgian bands that I really
Yeah,
like.
those guys.
I don't think they know me, but I know them.
Yeah, well, good. Well, they will know you after this.
Their music is really really special. It's
Yeah,
really they're going to make it big. Those two bands. That's
I
awesome
agree.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so I have two final questions for you. Are you familiar with the movie Fight Club?
Yeah.
Okay, I love Fight Club. Every time it's on, man, I just can't not watch it. I have to watch it. It's just, I love it. So, if this was your first day at Fight Club, who would you fight and why?
What?
I know it's a weird question, but it's fun.
I have no idea. Kirk Hammett? No, I don't know.
Oh, I love that. Oh my God, I love that. You would kick his ass.
First thing that I would be like, why the fuck don't you practice more?
Yeah, why are you so lazy when you solo? I love that scene in Some Kind of Monster where he's not Some Kind of Monster. What am I saying? It's when they made the Black Album. And Bob Rock is telling him, look, your solo sucks. You're not ready. You're not ready. And he's like, I practice. And you're like, no, you suck. You're not ready.
The solo.
Yeah, it was fantastic. And then the solo he came up with is awesome. You know?
You want to be a Grammy-nominated guitarist, then go back to your room and practice.
Yeah. That's the sign of a great producer. Okay.
In Some Kind of Monster as well, when James is teaching him a riff. Not sure if you know that part.
Yes, I love that movie.
Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, he's clearly a lazy musician. I mean, he's clearly that, and I guess it's okay. It is what it is. But I can't imagine what kind of material they would write if he would actually sit down and do the work. But he's so used to James and Lars doing it that he just kind of shows up and does his part and then plays on stage because he is a great live player. But yeah. He's a noodler.
Yeah, although I was amazed, I watch a lot of YouTube, and a few weeks ago I came by a YouTube movie that said all the parts that Kirk wrote for Metallica, and I thought, that's like the intro from Enter Sandman, and that's probably it.
Yeah,
but it was not. It was a lot of the best riffs of old Metallica that he wrote. That I had no idea about. So he was at that moment like really like the middle section of Creeping Dead and that cool riff in Damage Incorporated. That middle section, all those great middle section riffs, they're all from him.
Huh. Well, I mean,
but then he dropped off after in the 90s. He said,
Yeah. They all messed up when they cut their hair. They all messed up.
Yeah. Although I will die on that hill saying that Load is one of the best rock albums that I have.
Yes, I agree. Good. I think Fuel is one of the best songs they ever did. I love Fuel. I love that song.
Yeah, I love the sound and the way he sings. His best vocal performances are on Load and Reload.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, buddy.
I don't dare say that in front of other metal people.
Well, I mean, the problem with metal people, I mean this with kindness, is they are so precious about their particular subgenre that they can't let anybody. It's like they're afraid to admit that there are great songs in all realms. Again, it's why I mentioned the Carpenters and the Hudson Brothers at the top of the show, because I mean the Hudson Brothers, holy cow. I'm going to tell you right now, in 1975 the Hudson Brothers were at the top of the ladder of cheese. This was the cheesiest, goofiest, just smarmy. Everything about the Hudson Brothers in 1975 was the pinnacle of the worst kind of Americana. It was the variety show television, the Saturday morning cartoons. It was the worst stuff ever. But they had a relationship with Elton John and Bernie Taupin. And Gus Dudgeon, Elton's producer, and along with Bernie and Elton's record label, Rocket Records, they signed the Hudson Brothers to, I think, a 2-album deal. And the first album they released in 1975, which was produced by Gus, is called Ba-Fa, B-A-F-A. Holy crap. That album, that is my absolute favorite album of all time. It is It is extraordinary. It is extraordinary. If you listen to it, you'll swear it's an Elton John record. I mean, it might have been. Elton might have written every one of those songs. I don't know. There's this sort of hearsay behind it. Because that was Elton's, heyday. That was his, the Rock of the Westies and Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Cowboy. That was the era, when Elton was at his top. And oh my God, that album, I got lucky. My parents bought it for me for a Christmas gift. And I remember getting it and going like, who is this? I didn't care. I didn't care at all. I was into the Bay City Rollers, man. And they, I sat down, listened to it. And within probably the second spin, I realized what a special record it is. I mean, it's badass. It's old school pop. There's nothing heavy about it, of course. But it's one of those records that if you just listen to it, you cannot help but just go like, oh, I get this. It's a mood.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. God, it's so good. So, I'm sorry.
I'll check it out. I'm always on the lookout for
definitely
new stuff.
Definitely. Okay, last question. If I'm saying, hey, hey, Ian, tell me a few things that you are, okay? Like how you define yourself. One of the things I've heard counselors say over the years is they'll ask people like, give me an example of something you're good at, right? They'll say that. And it's to get people who are feeling down about themselves to hear themselves say, well, I'm good at Frisbee, or right, I'm good at drums, right? Rob's good at drums. Okay. But what most people end up saying is, I want to be good at this. I want to be a good podcaster. I want to be a good musician, or I hope to be, or someday I will, right? And what counselors are saying over and over again is say the things you know to be true. Hear them out loud. I know I'm a good friend. I know I'm eccentric. These are things I'm positive about. I'm positive about being a good friend. I'm positive about being eccentric. I'm positive about spreading the word about Axamenta. I'm positive about drumming. I'm positive about my wife and my children. These are things I love and admire. What are things that you would say you are positive about yourself?
Let's see. It's hard for me to talk about myself like that. I barely ever do this. Let's see. I guess I'm easygoing. I always go with the flow. For me, everything is good. I don't have a strong opinion on a lot of things.
Yeah.
I hope I'm a good father and a good husband. I think I am. And as for music goes, I'm not really. I can play guitar, but I'm not really a good guitarist, not by a mile. But
That's not at all that's not what I asked. Come on, man. First of all, I know you're excellent. I'm a great musician. I am a great musician. I am. And you're better than me, man. I'm telling you, you're a monster.
I have another one. I'm humble.
There it is.
I have a really bad. It's really difficult for me to speak about myself in saying like I'm the best. I'm doing this and this.
Sure, I understand that.
So
it's a cultural thing too.
Yeah, definitely. In Belgium, people are always like, people will see that you're good, that you can do this and this, but it's not. There is no need to say it. For me, I find the composing aspect is probably I'm happy with that skill or talent or how you would call it. I think that's really something I think I'm good at, and I'm happy about that, and I hope I can still how do you say that, increase it or even become better in the next few years. Yeah.
Right on.
Let's see.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll see. I hope that spires isn't the last thing we hear from you. But I would say that if you were to die tomorrow in a bizarre gardening accident, a la Spinal Tap, you would have left the world with a huge gift. And I mean, it's a legacy record, man. I mean, it may feel like an EP, it may feel like a comeback to you, but to us, it's a miracle. I'm telling you, it is so good. So
I'm so happy to hear that, by the way. I never had expected such an impact. But we did work on it really 2 long years to make it as good as possible in our head. So I was always afraid that when you would listen back, you hear a lot of people say that you have done like parts that you say, oh, fuck, we should have changed that and we should have done this and this. At the moment, I don't have anything. We put so much time and effort in it. I ironed out all the kinks and all the things that I didn't like about it. And I think I completely like it as well from start to finish. So, but I'm happy that other people gravitate towards it as well. So, all I can say is there will be new EPs. We're working on 2 new EPs at the moment.
sweet.
That will hot. How do you call it? Hot from the press. News.
Hot off the press. Yeah, there you go.
Press, yeah. So we're working on 2 EPs and they will be released side by side.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, so I do actually have to, because this makes me think of one more thing, so I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
But, nowadays we live in a world where singles are the thing. The albums aren't the thing. Singles are the thing. And then a band, if they're trying to make a living, and I'm not suggesting you're trying to do that, but if they are, they know that the only way they're going to make any money is to tour, to at least get out and play some shows and try to build something that way. The brand identity is a big deal nowadays.
Yeah.
Do you see ever doing something like a tour, or is it just merely festivals and that sort of idea, little opportunities here and there?
Yeah, not even. We're not planning to do live gigs at all.
Okay. So you're a studio project.
Yeah.
Okay.
Between the band, we have like 12 or 13 kids at the moment.
No, I get it. I totally understand.
We try to sometimes get together to do like a photo shoot or record some silly movie. And it's sometimes we say then, oh, that day, no, I can't. And then it's like 2 months in the future that we find a date that we all are available for a few hours. So rehearsals are completely impossible.
Yeah, no, I get that. I've seen the video too, the silly video. So I understand. You're just playing with it. It is what it is. It's just a joy for you.
Indeed.
For you to put something out. Yeah.
And I hope in this modern age that touring can be replaced by silly videos on socials, and that's also a way to spread the music and the brand to the rest of the world.
Yeah, the brand you hated but now you love.
Yeah, well, the name is still not really, but okay.
It is what it is. I mean, now it represents you, and that's just fine. None of us know about the old band. Yeah. None of us do. None of us.
Yeah, and I found that the font name does a lot. If it just looks cool, like Tool, for instance, that's also a silly name, but the way that they write it, then it's like, oh, fuck, that sounds great. It looks so ominous and mysterious, so...
Yeah. One syllable too. One syllable works very well. Yeah. All right, brother. Look, thanks for your time today, man. I really loved meeting you, and I hope you'll consider calling me a friend now, because I definitely think you're an amazing guy.
Thanks a lot, and it was such a fun experience. So thank you for that. And we'll keep in touch. Actually, now that you said that you do voiceover work, we might have some things that we can.
Wow. I should. Shh. I might cut that. No, thank you. I'm not going to turn it down, man. I love that opportunity, but we'll chat. But anyway, thanks so much for being you, man. You're an amazing dude. I'll talk to you soon. Okay, brother.
All right. Sounds good. See ya.
You've been listening to Sentimental Illness with Rob Leland. Our theme song, Machine, has been graciously provided by Harris Heller. Don't forget to subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcast media. you can directly support the show on Patreon as well, where you can find us at patreon.com/This is Sentimental Illness. It also helps us a lot if you rate the show online, so jump out there and give us 5 stars. And lastly, always remember, your mind will overthink everything, but your heart can never love enough. See you soon.